We were sitting down in Georgia and you were talking to me about just these distinct differences, how men and women are different, and you talked about our eyes.
Yeah.
Could you tell us more about that?
That was one of my favorite parts to research on the book, because I've always wanted to really dig into that stuff. And so I started researching it. And you'll hear these stereotypes. Oh, women are more sensitive than men. Oh, that's just a stereotype. Like, no. Like at every level. You just start like with the senses, the sense of hearing of a woman. Inside the inner structure of a woman's ear are microscopic hairs. Men have them too, but women's vibrate at a far greater intensity than the man, which makes her capable of hearing inflections and nuances in the human voice that are completely imperceptible to the male brain.
Oh my!
Yeah, I think there's entire conversations the male brain can't hear as well. Yeah. So she can hear, but she can pick up like, I think there's a little more behind that story. She can pick it up. We can't. And if you teach little boys, you have to actually speak 8 decibels louder for a boy to hear you than the girl. It's not a guarantee they're listening, but they can at least actually hear you. And then, so where the men though exceed at hearing in comparison to the women, men are far superior when it comes to locating the origin of a sound in 3-dimensional space. So Matt Fradd is hunting for a zebra in Africa, and he hears a crunch of a branch 30 yards away southeast. That's where the sound came from. We can pinpoint the origin of a sound, whereas the women can't do that with as much clarity. But women have other gifts of hearing. They can multitask. This one's really neat, that when a man is reading a book, so you've got Matt Fradd, and he's reading Aquinas, and Cameron is trying to talk to him. If you do a brain scan of your brain while you're reading Aquinas, you are functionally deaf as a male. Like, I've had my children scream at me like, Dad, and I'm like, why are you yelling at me? And she's like, we called your name 9 times. And I'm like, I was reading an email. Like, I couldn't hear. We actually become deaf as men functionally when we're reading a book, for the most part. Now, with the women's brain, what's interesting, they're using both hemispheres of their brain to listen. We only use the one side. So if you hit a man hard enough in the left side of his head, he can go completely mute. If you hit a woman there, she'll just keep right on talking. so these are just the hearing stuff. And I've seen it with my daughter in terms of like the multitasking. We're sitting at a restaurant once, and just her and I, and then there's a lull in the conversation. And then I'm like, Mary, what are you thinking? And she's like, shush. I'm like, what do you mean shush? I'm like, we're the only people at the table. What do you mean, shush? And it turns out she's doing audio surveillance of all the conversations at the tables adjacent to us. She's listening to all the details on their personal relationships of what's going on. I mean, even the couples she can't listen to, she's just looking at their body language. And she's like, yep, see them? He likes her more than she likes him. And those two, they're not getting along over at that table. Like, she's absorbing all of this content simultaneously, like this maternal ears. Okay. Well, the man, now these things are generalizations. There are men.
Because I was about to say that I think I'm more like that than my wife. Yes, I would like to be able to go into a room and not care what's going on. I don't know if it's ADD or what, but all the things that are taking place hit my brain at once, and I'm aware of all of them. So I get exhausted.
It is a trait of
quickly.
ADD to be able to be distracted by how many external noises there are instead of just laser beaming. Yes. I mean, John Paul II could read a book on philosophy while someone is reading him a book on theology at the same time, and he'd absorb both sources simultaneously. Monsignor Jeevish said that it was actually true. He could learn 2 books simultaneously. So these things are generalizations, but at the same time, they're neurological realities that men, by and large, for the most part, have that gift in terms of the hearing. You go into the smell. At the base of the woman's brain, the olfactory bulb involves the nerves that go into her brain for smell. Women have 7 million more cells in their olfactory bulb, which means they can discern between scents with much greater accuracy than men. So if Cameron goes into Liam's bedroom, like, Liam, it smells disgusting in here, and Liam's like, I don't know, it smells good to me, Mom. Like, dude, she's right. It's rancid, but the boy can't even smell it. And so the sensitivity of the ears, the eyes, women can discern colors differently than men can. That's why they have colors like fuchsia and mauve and taupe and like brown, red, green. And so the eyes, the sensitivity, one of the ones that I really liked, in just terms of sensitivity of empathy, this was probably my favorite. Scientists took a room full of boys and girls, I don't know, like 5 to 8 years old or whatever, and put up a wall and had a baby crying on the other side of the wall. and he put a microphone and an intercom so you could hear the baby crying on the other side of the wall. And you could either click a button to talk to the baby, or you could just hit the mute button, then you don't have to hear the baby anymore. So you see where this is going. All the girls go up to the wall, hey, little baby, da, 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 da. And the boys just walk over, boom, problem solved. Just mute the kid. And so it's a sign of empathy. But like these things, there are neurological differences, but we need to understand these are by and large, for the most part, kind of things. These are generalizations.
Hey, thanks for watching that clip. Would you like this beautiful, very high quality, definitely not made in China, not that there's anything wrong with that, Pints with Aquinas beer stein for free, sent to your door? Would you also like a copy of The Jill sent to your door 4 times a year? This is the Pints with Aquinas newspaper, by the way. If you do, go to mattfradd.locals.com and become an annual supporter for any amount. We'll send you that stuff for free, and you get a bunch of other free things in return. You'll get more information by going over to mattfradd.locals.com. Thanks.